Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Smita and Nandadeep for this opportunity, because I've been associated with Pune Tech community for a long time now. We have also collaborated in previous sessions, so it was always a pleasure to work with both Smita as well as Nandadeep. So thank you, Smita. Thanks
Yeah, likewise,
for this.
Arun.
And yeah, and any other organizer whose name I would have missed, my apologies for that. I mean, I really appreciate all your efforts in bringing this wonderful platform to all the users, where we can actually collaborate and learn the newer technologies within Azure environment. Okay, so with that note, I would like to move into the current today's topic, which is empowering AI innovation with Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so in this session, I would talk extensively about what AI Foundry is, why, when we should use AI Foundry, what are the services, or what are the options that we get within this AI Azure Foundry service, and how it makes developers' life easier to collaborate with the team members and create your own projects. Okay. Now, before that, I would like to give an introduction about myself. I am Arun Ramaswamy, and I am currently working as lead Azure consultant for Atos. I've been associated with this company for more than 15 years now, and I am also an MCT or Microsoft certified trainer, and I have more than 10 Microsoft certifications in Azure. So my specialty includes infrastructure, networking, migrations, and security. Okay, so if you have any queries, or if you would like to understand anything regarding any of these topics, you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I have also I have also given the QR code for my LinkedIn profile, and Smita has also kindly shared my LinkedIn profile in the chat window. So please feel free to connect with me, and we can also have an engaging conversation where we can actually share our knowledge. So it won't be just learning for you; it will also be a learning for me as well, because I appreciate perspectives. So I would also love to understand in depth of Azure from you guys as well. So yeah, looking forward to connect with you. Right. So with that, we will move on to the agenda for today. So in today's session, we will be looking at Azure AI Foundry and its architecture, and also learn how AI Foundry works in terms of portal, as well as how it helps developer in collaborating with their teammates. Yeah, and also we will understand what project and hub is meant with respect to Azure AI Foundry, and when to use AI Foundry, along with model catalogs available within the AI Foundry, and what are different tasks that can be achieved with the help of AI Azure AI Foundry. And also we'll touch base on a few how do I put a few use cases, real-time use cases, where Azure AI Foundry has helped corporate clients to uh, streamline their functions. Okay. Now with that, we'll move on to the next slide. So what is Azure AI Foundry? So before understanding what is AI Foundry or Azure AI Foundry in particular, have you guys come across the word Foundry before anytime? Anywhere in general, not just with respect to Azure. Have you heard about Foundry in general, in terms of engineering or anywhere else? Have you
In
come across?
engineering,
Yes,
in mechanical labs.
exactly. Yes. So what do you think Foundry is, or what we achieve in that Foundry? Any idea?
uh, to create a structure so that we can mold the new items that we
Mm-hmm.
want to create.
Uh-huh. Excellent. Excellent. That basically brings us to my point here. So that is what exactly a Foundry does. So Foundry basically helps you create or sort of engineer, okay, uh, a mold or a cast basically. Okay, it basically takes in a specific input or in terms of engineering, right? It takes metal inputs or metal ores, right? It will melt those ores, and it basically creates help in creating patterns and molds, okay, using which we can actually create multiple objects like your silica based products, or your any industrial usage, right? Industrial mechanizations. So that is what a foundry basically is, where it provides a facility, or it's basically a facility where it helps you create multiple objects. So similarly, if I extend that analogy to Azure AI Foundry, right? This Azure AI Foundry helps me in creating multiple Azure AI services without having to create individual services. Okay. So what is the advantage of having to create such a service? Okay. So the first advantage is basically it is all in one platform, which means I don't have to create individual services to interact to create an ecosystem. Yeah? I can simply create a single AI Foundry service using which I can actually fire up multiple services. Okay. So that helps me in collaborating with or creating a perfect or a refined service which will which will contain multiple capabilities. Okay, like for example, as you're seeing on the screen, this AI Foundry not only helps in create Azure OpenAI service, I can also create Azure AI Search, which helps in creating RAG services, right? Or which I will touch upon later, or basically it called as augmented generation, which I will touch upon later. Yeah, how this AI search helps in creating RAG service or RAG applications. You can also use Azure AI agent services, where you can create agents for your enterprises. And you also have the Azure AI content safety, which Jenna was talking in the previous sessions. Like you can actually use this session to filter out uh, your outputs, and or basically filter out what sort of contents you would like to encourage within your prompts literally. Okay. Now along with these services, you also have other Microsoft capabilities or incorporated within the Azure AI Foundry, like your Visual Studio, where you can actually create services using appropriate AI Foundry SDKs. Okay, all you have to do is simply use a library, and you create the APIs for that. And then using the endpoints and the API keys, you can simply communicate with that particular service. And you can also create a GitHub where you can create multiple projects which will help in collaborating with your team members, because you may have multiple projects within your organization, because you not only have to work with chat agents, you can also work with say RAG agents. You can have any speech service that you are trying to create. So it can be any AI service which you are basically creating as part of your project. So you can have multiple projects within your organization, which will help in collaborating with multiple team members. So you can have multiple hubs, and which again I will talk about these things in depth. I'll show it in the demo session as well. Okay, you can have multiple hubs under which you can have multiple projects. Okay, hubs is nothing but a workspace, and under that workspace you can have multiple projects from multiple teams, and you can collaborate with multiple teams for creating your enterprise applications. And as I mentioned, you have the Azure AI Foundry SDK, which you can simply use in your Visual Studio to create your own custom applications. Okay, so this is how the AI Azure Foundry helps in creating multiple applications, multiple applications with several capabilities, or with multiple capabilities under a single umbrella called the projects or your hubs. Okay, so that is basically what Azure AI Foundry is. So it was previously known as AI Studio, where it basically had it was like a playground for you, where you were able to simply create the services for each of these AI services, right? Or you can actually create a separate, or you can fire a separate service for each of these capabilities. But they have renamed this AI Studio into Foundry because AI Studio did not have the capability of having CI/CDs or creating pipelines, right? Or you can even say it did not have the capability of collaborating within Copilot Studio or your Visual Studio, right? It was simply a place, or a studio where you can fire up different services. Okay, so that is basically the end of that. Okay, so if you want to create, or if you want to create a custom solution, then you will have to create a separate or a separate through a Azure Visual Studio Code. You will have to import the individual SDKs for each of those services, and then you create a single package. Okay, however, this AI Foundry now encompasses all these services. You can simply create a single SDK. Okay, so that is why they had renamed this service from AI Studio to AI Foundry. Okay, and this was designed specifically for developers, where they can collaborate with other team members as well in multiple projects and bring them to a fruition, okay, in a faster time, but safe and securely. So I will also say how we can make it more secure. Okay. So you can granularly provide accesses to user, and also restrict access or create pipelines. You can basically create or restrict access to individual users based at the project levels as well. Okay, so that is why it was designed for developers. And currently there are around 1900 pre-built models, and to be precise, there are around 1983 models, pre-built models, that are available for the developers to use instantly. Okay, but you can also create your own custom models with the Azure SDKs as well. So all these pre-built models helps you to create, or you don't have to specifically train the models. You have the models that is already trained for particular purpose. You can simply choose the model which is suitable to you based on the cost level and refining techniques available within the Azure Studio, and you can simply go ahead and use those models to create your own custom applications. Okay, so that is how simple AI Foundry is to use for developers. Now, coming to the capabilities, you can basically build generative AI apps on a secure platform. So as I mentioned, you can specifically or granularly restrict access to all the users. Okay, on the application platform, you can basically say whether it's a read-only access, it's a contributor access, or it's a admin access, right? So you can you can granularly maintain what sort of access to be provided on the platform. So based on that, it will help you securely generate apps for different projects by different users. Okay, so the second point is you can use advanced AI tools and models will responsible AI practices. So each of the models that are incorporated within these AI studio, right? They conform to the responsible AI practices laid down by Microsoft. So any AI models or any applications that you create or you develop on the Azure platform should be conforming to the responsible AI platform, which filters out unwanted informations wherein it can basically restrict any proprietary data from getting exposed to the external world, right? And also any violent content or a sexual based contents, you can filter out any such contents from your input as well. Okay, so it all the models conforms to the responsible AI platform or AI practices laid down by Microsoft and Azure. Okay, and collaborate throughout the development life cycle. So as I mentioned, you have projects, multiple projects that are created by for multiple users, and you can simply add users to those projects, like which will help in collaborating with those users, and which will help in faster development to the production, or you can basically host these applications to production, or you can get it to the end user market in a faster manner. So that is how it helps in the development life cycle. It will quicken the development life cycle when you have the opportunity to collaborate with multiple teams and users. And you can also explore diverse models, services, and features. So which I will actually show you uh, in the subsequent demos. Yeah. Okay, so this is what AI Foundry is. Now, I would like you to take you to the architecture, right? So basically, this is the architecture here. If you actually see, it has the AI search, open AI service, AI agent service, and content AI service. Now, Microsoft has added multiple AI services like your language, your speech, your content safety, your document intelligence, and you talk about image processing, right? Image, compute vision, any AI service that you can create within Azure AI, the Microsoft has actually incorporated into the Azure AI Foundry. However, few of them are in preview mode, so you cannot expect 100% accuracy, or you will need to be careful while using those services. I'll show you what services are currently in preview mode, but you can basically use those services to connect with your Azure AI Foundry service. Okay, so the base of your Azure for AI Foundry is your hub. Hub is nothing but it is like a workspace where you can actually you can treat it as a separate uh, like your separate application. Like if you want to actually create an enterprise chat agent, right, you can simply create a separate workspace for the chat agent, and you can treat that workspace as the hub. Okay, under that hub you can have multiple projects. So when I say multiple projects, that chat agent can have connectivity to your SharePoint, right, or your any database, right, or your document or your any document libraries that you may have, right, which you would like to leverage to customize your response, right? So you can have multiple projects under that hub, which will help you and which will helps in ensuring that you have the correct team members on board these projects or onboarded onto the workspace during the development phase, which will help you in refining your application responses. Okay, so you can collaborate with multiple DevOps team, you can connect with your networking team, you can collaborate with your security team, you can bring them on board during the development phase as well. You during the development life cycles at different point in time when you want to ensure like you are restricting or you are developing these projects in a safe and secure manner. Okay, for instance, if I want to connect my service to a storage account, right, I will basically create a separate private endpoint. Okay, so to create a private endpoint, I will need to bring in the infrastructure specialist or your network specialist. Okay, so they will help in creating those endpoints and define which applications or which or how to restrict access to the specific data sets. Okay, so this will help in securing your application, not just your application but your data sets as well. Okay, so you can be safe and you can be safe and secure in knowing that your inputs or your proprietary data are not exposed to the internet or the external world. Okay, so that is the importance of having projects. Okay, and to to manage all these hubs and projects, you have something called as management centers where you can manage all your security configurations and your network connectivity, right? And you can also use you can add users and configure users to provide appropriate access. So I'll show what these management center is as well in the demo section. So this is what the main base of your Azure AI Foundry is. So using that Azure AI Foundry, I can have a project resource or a hub resource, right? As you can see, I can have those resources in the Azure AI portal, right? And I can actually use these details in the Azure AI SDKs as well, which I will again show in the demo session, how we can use the source code. Yeah, how we can uh, uh, leverage the Azure AI SDKs. So once I have that, I also define connectivity connections to different it can be different AI services like your open AI service or your language, your speech service, your Azure AI service. You can even connect to your document intelligence, right? In fact, you can even store your endpoints, right? You can store your endpoints and API credentials in Key Vault, and you can use these connections or create connections within the management centers to access those credentials level. And then you can also have storage connectivity using private network, private endpoint connections. You can connect to n number of any AI service including Cosmos DB. If you have any JSON format, right? If you're creating any JSON format response from your AI Foundry, you can basically uh, use that to converse with the Cosmos DB database, right? So you can actually connect to any AI service or in fact any Azure service using these connections. Okay, so this is the primitive architecture of an Azure AI Foundry. Like, so this will tell you how uh, the interactions with multiple AI service or to be precise, other Azure services works from the Azure AI Foundry. Okay. So before moving, any questions here or anything that you would like to bring up? I'll just give few seconds to the audience to let me know if there are any questions or concerns.
Arun, just a quick one. Can we
Yes,
connect
Santosh.
external APIs as well in Azure AI Foundry?
Because it basically uses custom, right? If you are using a custom development, you can definitely incorporate your external APIs through your SDKs. All you have to do is simply download those APIs, or ensure like those libraries are present. You can simply make sure the libraries are made available to the Visual Studio, and from there you can actually call up the external APIs as well. Any custom APIs that you have within your organization. All you have to do is make sure that API or that library is available. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Okay. I'll take it as no. Then if there is anything, please feel free to stop me. Okay. Now, moving on to the next topic, we'll see how this AI Foundry works. So as I mentioned, the first step that you create in the AI Foundry is basically your hub. Okay. So hub is the first step, or you can basically say as your initial, or the initial stepping stone into your Azure AI Foundry. So without creating hub, you cannot use your Azure AI Foundry service. Okay, hub is nothing but it creates a workspace within the Azure AI Foundry environment, and using that workspace, you can create multiple projects. So you can think of that workspace as your custom application. So in very layman terms, that acts as your the custom repository, you can say. So when you go to a Google or if you talk about GitHub, right, you basically have a repository, right? You have a master repository from where you can actually create multiple duplicates, like your for your development sake, you can actually create say you can create a dev repository. Okay, if you want to incorporate or test the new version, if you are including newer capabilities, if you want to test it without hampering the existing production source code, so you actually create a separate repo, right? So similarly, you consider this hub as your master workspace, and under that you create multiple projects. Okay, so this AI Foundry basically creates an environment uh, for creating your custom application, right, using the concept called projects. Okay, because your application can have multiple connectivity or multiple components, like your AI speech. You can actually have a connectivity to AI Azure AI search to refine your search capabilities, right? Because you might have a separate document library which you would like to leverage for customizing your response. So that is where you actually you have that RAG capabilities, or augmented generation capabilities, right? So you can have multiple components to which you would like to create specific projects to customize those components. Okay, so this hub is used as a workspace which will help in creating multiple projects for your components. So this will help in customizing your application. So you can simply use the existing model, or you can fine tune the existing models to refine your output. So that is basically how your Azure Foundry works. Now, if you actually look at the resource provider, right, it comes under Microsoft dot machine learning service. Okay. Now, if you had actually used Azure before, now have any of you used storages before in Azure? Anyone come across storages, blob storage, file storage? Anyone came across that? Yeah.
Yeah, Arun. I mean, not for the AI purpose, but for other purpose we are using
Exact.
cloud
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
container. Yeah.
Anything. So if you actually have you looked at the resource IDs? So did you get a chance to look at the resource ID?
You mean that GUID particular
No,
or
no,
something else?
resource ID. In the property, you will have something called as resource ID. So that resource ID is something the ARM uses to communicate with that particular service. Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
right. So each resource have its own provider. Okay. So for example, virtual machines comes under compute service. So the resource provider will read as Microsoft.compute. Okay, so virtual network comes under network, so it will be virtual Microsoft.network. Similarly, storage will be Microsoft.storage. Okay, so for AI Foundry, it comes under machine learning services. So if you are going to search for Azure AI Foundry, you will need to basically search it under machine learning option. So I'll show you that as well in when I show you the portal ones. Okay, so it comes under Microsoft that machine learning services, and from there you can actually see it as the kind equal to hub. Okay, so this is the one which your ARM or your Azure Bicep will use to communicate with the services, because for us it is Microsoft that machine. For us it is just AI, Azure AI Foundry, but for ARM it has its own interpretation, right? So for that interpretation purpose, it will basically use this resource provider, and if you want to refer to that hub, it will say as kind equal to hub. Okay, which means it will basically refer to the hub which you are currently working on right now, and under that hub you will have connected resource under kind equal to what sort of resource it is. It can be OpenAI, it can be search, it can be speech, it can be anything, right? So it will basically say what sort of service is getting connected, or what sort of service is communicating with the Azure AI Hub. Okay, and this is the project here. Like what sort, if you want to say what project I am working on, say I want to say augmenting speech services with the help of Azure AI Foundry. So those sort of models will be present under the projects itself. Okay, so all these projects will be specific to the kind of services that you are working on. So your models, your data sets, you can customize it based on the kind of projects that you are working on. Okay, so this is how the AI Foundry communicates with multiple AI resources using hub and project models. Okay, now coming to the next slide, what we can do with hub. Okay, now with hub, as I mentioned, hub is the backbone of communicating with Azure AI Foundry. Without the hub, you cannot have any Azure AI Foundry services within Azure environment. So you can basically manage members, assign roles. You can add users to specific hubs. You can add roles like your developer roles. It can be contributor roles, it can be admin roles, it can be anything. So what sort of roles that you would like to provide to that specific user, right? So you can have multiple hubs within your Azure AI Foundry. So each hub can have specific users with specific accesses. So you can use hub to provide those sort of roles and responsibilities. So that is what it mentions here. And setup and control compute instances. Okay, for example, if you have a specific requirement where you would like to have a specific VM, right, for running your custom code. So you can actually use a hub to fire up VMs within the Azure AI Foundry itself. Okay, with a specific configuration, what based on the computational units that is required for your project purpose. So this do not confuse this VM with the Azure VM. Okay, this VM is specifically only for Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so you cannot use this VM for any other purpose. When you fire up this VM, it will already have all the supporting environment to run your specific VS code. Okay, so you can have that VS code ported onto this VM and fire up that VM to execute your code to do specific experimental runs before you move it to test and other test and production modes. Yeah, so you can actually set up and control compute instances then, and you can also use to connect to resources like multiple data stores where it will basically have your own data sets like your storages. You can even connect to GitHubs, you can even connect your own SharePoints, right? And you can even connect to Azure AI search, which will help in refining your searches. Okay, so you can use Azure AI search to uh, use the generational or generative AI capabilities, bringing generative AI capabilities into your Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so you can connect to multiple Azure AI Azure AI services from here, or even your external data sources using your own APIs. Okay, and you can even automate compute shutdown when I say automate compute shutdown, right? When you are having custom VMs that are running within the Azure AI Foundry, like all the compute resources also are added to the cost. Okay, so if you want to control cost, you can simply define policies which will automatically compute or automatically shut down these VMs at a specific point in or at a specific time. You can even define the start stop time for this compute that you have fired for your experimental purpose. Okay, so these are the things that you can basically do within your hub itself, Azure AI Foundry Hub. Okay, so that is why I mentioned this hub is the backbone of your Azure AI Foundry. Okay, now if I talk about hubs, right, I will need to also talk about projects. Okay, so because projects or hub without projects is actually it is nothing but empty skeleton. Okay, so you simply have a workspace, but that workspace basically gets nothing done. Okay, so using projects you can actually deploy custom LLM models or predefined LLM models within your workspaces, and you can use those models to create custom applications, or you can even fine tune those LLM models according to your organizational needs, organization and needs. Okay, and you can also have you also have playground option where you can actually deploy your custom model, and then you provide your own inputs to monitor what sort of inputs are getting displayed, and you can even create your own customization, or you can even fine tune your models there, yeah, based on the response received in the playground. Okay, augments prompt with your own data, which means I can actually connect with Azure AI search, which augments my or which improvises my search capabilities. I can actually use those AI search capabilities to improve my prompts. I can simply generate prompts in my applications, which I can actually provide to my document library and fetch customized outputs from my own custom data sets. Okay, and I can also use prompt flow, which will help me create a structured flow for my prompts, wherein I can actually provide customized or connected responses to the uh, customized responses to the previous queries that you have provided to the chat agents based on the history of the prompts that have been provided. So, which will enhances your user interaction. Okay, so it will basically look like you are uh, talking to a human instead of an agent, right? And also you can actually evaluate model responses using the projects. Okay, so you have two types of models or two type of evaluation processes. It can be automated evaluation process, or you can define your own evaluation models, right, within the projects itself. So based on your organization requirement, you can evaluate your responses. Okay, and you can also manage indexes and data sets, because large insurance houses or your banks, right, or your say people like Amazons, right, they have millions of gigabytes of data, or even terabytes of data, or even in terms of petabytes of data, right? So they can actually use or manage their own data sets to customize the data and responses. So which means each project will only take specific data sets into account, so that you can be safe that your data sets are filtered data sets, and it does not provide any unwanted responses, or you are not even exposing your proprietary data to another to other users. Okay, so you can manage your indexes and data sets using AI Foundry projects. Okay, you can even set up content filters like Janardhan mentioned in the previous sessions, right? So you can even use security tabs to content filters. You can simply say you cannot use these prompts, or I am not supposed, or this model or this chat agent is not supposed to uh, take or provide response to such request, right? So you can use content filters, and you can also use Visual Studio Code in the browser. Basically, as I mentioned in the first slide, this is how AI Foundry has integrated Visual Studio into the Foundry itself. This capability was not present in AI Studio. This is specific to AI Foundry, where you can actually use not just your custom desktop Visual Studio Code. You can even integrate the Visual Studio code in the browser for your custom coding purposes. Okay, and you can even deploy solutions as web apps, or your containerized services like Docker image, or you can even do Kubernetes or AKS based deployments. Okay, so this is how AI Foundry projects helps in customizing the responses, or helps in creating custom applications within the Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so any doubts still here, or any queries, or any points that you would like to bring up before we move on to the next one? Okay, okay. So since there is nothing, you're still visible. Is my still? I mean, sorry, is my desktop still visible? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So the next point, right? What it basically mentions is, uh, it talks about what to use in Azure AI Foundry, or how I can use Azure AI Foundry to manage my projects and custom applications. Okay, so the first point that I would like to discuss is create and managing AI projects. So as I mentioned, you can have multiple projects within the Azure AI Foundry. So you can simply collaborate with multiple teams to create specific enterprise applications, which will talk with multiple AI service, or multiple Azure services. Okay, so you can actually create projects specific to those services within the Azure AI project, and you can customize your coding part, or you can use the SDKs, Azure AI SDKs or Azure SDKs, to customize your application. So you can basically mention what APIs to use, or which storage account to connect for my input data sets, right? Or if I want to search my document libraries, what if I have a third party library, how do I connect to that library using the third party APIs? So I can actually use these projects to determine those steps. Okay, so I can incorporate those in the project itself at the code level, and I can create customization within the AI projects. Okay, so this helps in a holistic approach that ensures that starting from your input, right, inputting your data set to creating a model, and using that model to deploy in production, and also monitor that model for their performance and fine tuning, right, which will help in the continuous refinement of your models or your applications based on the current scenarios. Or if you want to make any upgrades, or if you want to make any adjustments to your models based on the responses, you can definitely do that using your projects. So this makes it more efficient, transparent, and reproducible. Okay, so you can use this concept or use this code in a separate project, right? So that is how easy it is to manage your projects. And next is your generative AI application. As I mentioned, I can actually connect this AI Foundry to multiple or it basically provides multiple LLMs, like pre-built model LLMs. So there are more than 1900 models, so more than 80% chance that you are able to use the existing models within your applications, and sorry, yeah, within your projects, and you can customize it for your purpose. Okay, so you can use the AI Foundry leverage of the existing models to create generative AI applications. Okay, and also you can basically use Azure's scalability. Okay, scalable clusters and APIs to ensure that these applications that you are providing is robust and has higher availability. So that is the advantage of using Azure AI Foundry. Okay? And also you can basically leverage the augmented generation. So as I mentioned in the previous slides, I can connect this AI Foundry to other knowledge database, or my data repository dynamically. Like I can simply create or generate a prompt from Azure AI model, and I can use that prompt to generate a more refined augmented query, okay, which I can actually use to query from my data sets. Okay, so if I actually provide a very generic statement, I can use or I can refine the generic statements into an augmented query, and that augmented query will then be used to search my data sets, because in services like legals or your insurance databases, right? Insurance databases or your academic work, right? So it requires specific inputs as the specific prompts as input. So I can use this retrieval augmented generation or RAG agents to specifically fine tune my prompts. Okay. And also I can evaluate models, as I mentioned. I can see how my model is performing, if there are any outputs or any refinements that are required, or any updates that needs to be made to my generation or output generation. So that is something that I can evaluate for all my models, and then uh, make the custom changes. Okay. And it also provides seamless integration with Azure services like your storages, your Azure Cosmos DB. I can even connect to AKS for deployment, AKS and container instances, right? For creating Docker images. I can even do a web deployment in app services. So I can have multiple connectivity with Azure, or seamless connectivity with Azure with Azure services. And using managed identity, I can control the level of access being provided to this particular AI Foundry, so that the access provided to this service is safe, and it is granulated to the level which is required for that particular service itself. Okay. And lastly, this encompasses the the concept of building responsibly by incorporating the principles of responsible AI from Microsoft. So Microsoft have provided certain frameworks for providing or creating safe and secure AI applications, which will ensure that your data is safe, and the generations that, or the kind of outputs that you generate is safe and secure. Okay. So these are all the capabilities of Azure AI Foundry. Okay. And as I mentioned in my previous slides, there are multiple pre-built models from multiple service providers like Microsoft, Mistral, Meta, OpenAI, Hugging Face, right? You have multiple custom models. So it is currently at 1983 as of today morning. Okay. So there are 1983 pre-built models that you can choose from to fine tune them. Okay. And then use it to your custom purpose. So these are the model catalogs that are available within the Azure AI Foundry, and these are called as inference tasks, which means these are the capabilities that I can achieve using Azure AI Foundry, like chat agents, summarizing documents or summarizing outputs. Okay, text to image creations, object detections, image segmentation, speech recognitions. These are few tasks that I can uh, get done using Azure AI Foundry. Okay. So with that, I think I have come to the end of the theory session. Now I would like to move into the uh, demo part. Okay. How long do I have? Think 10 minutes, right? Okay, 10 minutes is more than sufficient. Fine. I'll stop my sharing. I'll share my session again. One moment. Right. Okay. Yes, this should be the one. Okay. Fine. I'll close the other ones. Okay. Perfect. Now, so the first thing that I mentioned is I can actually, so Uh, I mentioned the resource provider type, right? It comes under machine learning. Okay, let's see if I can find machine learning here. Okay, create a resource, machine learning. Machine learning, AI Foundry. Is it? This is marketplace. Sorry. Okay, apologies. This is marketplace. How do I actually? Okay, I think this one I'm not able to see here. I don't know why it is not showing. Chalo. Okay, fine. But if I actually search for Azure AI Foundry, right? It will come as Azure AI Foundry here. You can simply click that. Okay. And the first step that you actually do is create a hub. Okay. So without creating hub, you cannot create anything. Now I'm using the existing resource group, or you can specify your own resource group. East US 2. I'll just simply say hub 1 test. Okay. If you see, it will basically automatically connect or create a connection to the OpenAI service here. Yeah. So in the previous slide, as I meant, as you would have seen, you also can create connections directly from the hub itself. Okay, so this is what the connection looks like. Okay, now since I have already created one resource, I'll just go through the tabs alone here. So you can specify the storage account where it will search for the data sets. Yeah, uploaded data, stored credentials. You can use this as your input data storage. Okay. You can use your Azure Key Vault for credential purpose, or you can simply say Microsoft Manage. So which means the credentials are stored in the background. Okay. And you can use applications insights for monitoring purpose. Yeah, you can use applications insights for to check how your applications is your Azure AI Foundry application is working, and you can basically work on upgradation. And the next one is container registry. Basically, this will help in creating Docker images for your Azure AI Foundry application. So you can use this image to directly host applications in Docker. Okay. Inbound access, you can simply say disable. You can disable it from public network access, which means I cannot access this from the internet network, and I can simply say from which network this specific service needs to be accessed. So this will create a service endpoint. Okay, and if you actually see at the if you see at the end, it will say private DNS integration, which will help in creating a private endpoint. Okay, so I can simply say which VNets, from which VNets the access needs to be provided to this particular hub itself. Okay, so for now, for demo purpose, I'll simply keep it as open to internet access, and I can also say outbound access. Okay, so when I say public access, this is unrestricted outbound data movement, which is not ideal. Yeah, you would like to use only the approved outbound, which means I can only send data to a specific outbound data library. Or if you are using a third party library, I can simply say which applications I can connect to. Okay, so this will create the service tag here. Yeah, and I can simply say define outbound rules here. I can define outbound rules which will create private endpoint, or your FQDN if you have a third party libraries. Yeah, if you're going to connect to a third party application, you can simply provide your FQDN destination here. Or if it is within Azure, you can simply say service tag. You can connect to any of these applications. As I mentioned, this provides seamless integration with all the Azure AI services. So all you have to use is use that service tag, and then I want to connect to Cosmos DB. I'll simply say Cosmos DB service tag, or if I want to fine grain it only to a specific network, I'll simply use private endpoint. Okay, so this is how you will restrict the outbound access. And encryption, basically encryption is nothing but you are going to encrypt all your data. Okay, so I can use simply say customer managed, yeah, because I have a key vault that is connected, and I can encrypt all the data within that key vault using this customer managed key, which means I cannot actually view that data without this key. Okay, so this is encryption upon encryption. Okay, so this is encryption point. So right now I don't have anything, so I'll just keep it as this. And identity, so this is system identity. You can use system assigned identity, or user managed identity if you have any user managed identity created. Okay, so this will help in this will help in ensuring that you are providing only limited access for this particular application. Okay, once I have this created, this hub will be created here. Okay, now if I click on this hub, you can see these options, and this is the option to create projects. And if you see on the overview, you have the Foundry resource group, and you have the storage as well, where this particular hub connects to. Okay, so by inherence, this project also will connect to that particular storage account. So to create a project, click on AI project, and then create a project, and it will get associated with this particular hub. Okay, and I have this project. If I click on this project, you will see the overview where you will have the endpoint to the studio here. Or it was basically a Azure AI Studio. Now it is Azure AI Foundry. So you just click on this. It will basically take you to the Azure AI Foundry Studio. Okay. Now, if I click on properties here, this is what I was talking about. See, this is the this is the resource ID. Okay, so if ARM wants to connect to this particular project, it will only connect through this resource ID. We cannot identify what my project is unless you provide this resource ID. Okay, so if you see here, the resource provider is machine learning services, which means this Azure AI Foundry is actually a machine learning service. Okay, so for example, if you look at the storage account ID, it will have as Microsoft.storage. Okay, so this is a storage service, and it is a storage account with the name MyHub. Okay, so this is the property ID or the resource ID of the storage accounts that we have created. So this is very important if you are going to create CI/CD pipelines, or if you want to create ARN templates and bicep templates. Okay, in fact, if you want to do IAC coding, this is very important. Now I have created the projects. Now I will go to the studio itself. Okay, so I already have the web URL. I'll just simply click on the URL here, which will take me directly to the project here. If you see, I have the endpoint, I have all the API keys here. All you have to do is basically whatever service that you want to connect to, you simply have to take the endpoint and the key here. Okay? AI interface key, you have the key here. This is this key is basically you can use for all the services here. I don't have to necessarily remember all the keys for individual service. This is the collaborative nature of, or the advantage of using Azure AI Foundry. Now on the left hand side, you will see all the options here, like you can create agents, or you have build and customize your application. You have the assess and improve your evaluate your models, or improve, monitor and improve your models. And this will also talk about your assets, which means your models and your APIs that you have created, and your web app itself. Now this is the management center that I was talking about. You can basically click, if you click on user, it will say what users have access to this particular project. So if you want to add a user, simply click on the user, simply provide the username and provide the access here. Yeah, which means that user will be added here. This is the models that you have deployed. So you can simply create your own deployment models. You can use base models, or you can actually deploy fine-tuned models which you have fine-tuned for your organization as per your organization requirement. So once you deploy that model, it will actually show in your assets. So this is the model that I have deployed in my project. And if I click on that, it will basically say what that project is. Okay, what it is all about. And this is the VS that I was talking about. See, it provides you with the OpenAI SDK, right? And this is the inference task that you can use using this particular model itself. Okay, so I have just created OpenAI service model, a ChatGPT or an OpenAI service model. So this will basically include all the capabilities of my of the AI OpenAI Azure OpenAI service. Okay, so you can use this direct basic code as a sample, or you can basically modify these codes according to your organization requirement. Okay, and then you can simply use this in your Visual Studio Code. Yeah, this is the key that I was talking about. You can for this particular model, this is the key, and the endpoint target URI. You can simply use this URI service, or this URI to connect to this model in the application source code, and you can simply start using them. Now, uh, yes, this is all I wanted to talk about. Let's go to playground. Okay, now I already have this model, right? Let's go to this playground here. Sorry. Yeah, management center. I already have this model. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Go to projects. Um, right. Yeah. Okay. Now, these are the model catalogs that I was talking about previously. And if you actually see, these are the models that are currently available. So today morning, it was basically 1983, and now it has 4 more new models have been added here. Okay, so you can choose your own model, which model you would like to deploy here, and then you can use that model to you can use it directly, or you can fine tune it. For example, I simply want to use this DeepSeek model. I click on the DeepSeek model. Yeah, it will basically loading here. Okay. Hmm. So I can simply say deploy this name, pricing term. What are the pricing terms? Okay. Okay, so I have simply deployed that particular pre-built model called DeepSeek. Okay, I'll simply open it in Playground. Yeah, this is how it is. Okay, now this is my model ID. Yeah, it simply says. Let's just say. Okay, who are you? I'm simply saying this chat. Okay, I'm an AI assistant here that helps you find information. So basically, I'm using this, it uses this particular prompt to generate this. Yeah. Now, what I will do is you are an assist AI. Okay. Um, Specialized in uh, travels. Yeah, travel and itinerary. Yeah, okay, itinerary. Right. You speak in pirate language. Yeah. You okay. You provide customized um itinerary. Damn it. For individual customer requirement. Yeah. Okay. The visual. Yeah. Okay. Now I'll apply these changes and I will say clear it. Now, who are you and what do you do? Right. If you actually look at this is basically how a pirate speaks. Yeah. So this chat here, I have customized it for responding in a pirate language. So you can basically customize it as per your requirement. It can be a front end desk, front end operator. Yeah, it can you can also like you can also customize it to speak like Spider-Man. In fact, yeah. Um, so you can base it. You can customize it to be based on anything that you would anything under the sky basically. And it says be it beaches, taverns, castles, hidden covers, I'll map out the voyage, voyage. Yeah, yeah, it speaks some pirate language, right? Okay, now you can actually add sections here. Safety system messages, you can safely you can say you can add what sort of messages can be avoided. Yeah, so I'll select harmful, I'll say jailbreaks, copyrights. Yeah, I'll simply say what sort of messages to be avoided. And you can even say what sort of data to be included. So you can include your data source here. Okay. And the parameters nothing but what sort of how many responses per session. All these things you can basically customize it. Okay. And this is the fine tuning part where you can fine tune your outputs based on custom requirement. And this is the prompt flow where you can customize how you want the flow to happen, chat flow to happen. And this is the evaluation screen where you can evaluate your model and fine tune accordingly. This is the safety and security that I was talking about, where you can simply say what sort of messages to be filtered here. Okay, you can create your own content filter saying you are not supposed to ask these information, or I won't be providing any inputs for these sort of requests. Okay, so yeah, so this is pretty much how you can actually use Azure AI Foundry to create your own custom solution based on your organization requirement. Okay, yeah. So with that, I'll end my session. Probably I did not bore you guys, but at least I gave, or it basically created an initiation. It was like an initiation session, which will help you in analyzing or exploring the Azure AI Foundry further. Okay. So thank you guys. Thank you very much for being patient, and I will open the forum for any Q&A you might have.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. It was really nice and good informative session. Okay, I have two questions. Okay, one is regarding the when you create the
Yes.
OpenAI Hub,
Hmm.
you selected the services. Okay,
Right.
which connect AI services, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And where it It was named OpenAI. So does that mean that when you create hub, it is based on the OpenAI, or and then you can add the
Correct,
models
correct.
inside
So
whatever, or it's
yes.
open for anything?
So the point is, when you are actually going via portal, right, it automatically creates an OpenAI connectivity connections, yeah, to
But let's say I
OpenAI
don't want to,
service.
I don't want OpenAI service. I
Okay,
want a
then
Meta
you
service,
can,
right?
yes, then you can directly go to the Azure AI Foundry and you can start creating your own connections. Okay, you create your own hub, and from there you create the connections wherever you want to actually create your particular connectivity. You can definitely do that. Okay,
Exactly. The
so
question is regarding this AI hub itself. Okay. So when you
yes,
create AI hub, okay,
uh-huh,
there was a parameter, right? Input parameter, which was
correct,
asking for OpenAI
uh-huh,
connected AI service.
right,
And you created one, right?
yes.
So why do I need to create an OpenAI service there if I
Okay,
want
not
to use the
necessarily.
other model, Meta or something?
Correct, correct. Let me share you the screen again. I'll show you what how it works. Yeah. So you're able to see my screen. Yeah.
So yes, okay.
Okay. This is my management center. If I go to my management center, you will see the hub and the projects here. So if I click on hub here, you see the connected resource, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you actually see the Azure Open. These are all how do I say, normal connectivity that has been defaultly connected because I provided these information from the Azure portal itself. Okay, but if you don't want, you can simply delete them and then you can simply create a connection from here only. Okay, to any service
Okay.
that you want. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Got it.
I
Thanks.
created that service from portal, it created these by default. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. That explains this. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, thank you so much, Arun, for sharing
Thank you,
this
Smita.
valuable information. Yeah, it
Thank
was
you,
really
Smita.
helpful.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Really
if you
appreciate
have
your
any,
opportunity. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for sharing all the knowledge here. And if anyone is having any query, then please get in touch with Arun. I have already shared his LinkedIn profile. Yeah, thank you so much, Arun. Happy weekend. And with that, I would like to invite our next speaker.